We would hit record and would not know what we were getting on the threes.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we were completely all like the barn scenes. Like our batteries were dying, and every time we hit record, we were just like we didn't even know if they would even last through the scene. It was crazy. Anyway.
All right. So, thank you for joining me. Okay, hold on. Let me just. All right. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to start by introducing yourself, what is your name?
My name is Robert Palmer. I'm a writer, producer, director, reality TV producer, all about Man of Town.
And you're also a singer-songwriter.
I wish I had his money.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you've heard that before.
Yeah.
The reason I wanted to talk to you is I've known you for about 10 years.
It has been.
It has been. Yeah, it's been a little bit over 10 years.
Yeah.
And you and I have a similar interest in filmmaking, except you've actually gone the distance and...
Like how you said that. Gone.
Well, you've gone...
It is.
You totally...
It's a pound-for-pound boxing match.
Well, you have actually, raised the money to produce and direct a screenplay. Co-write and direct a screenplay. And I would just like to talk to you about what that was like, what you learned while making it.
Yeah. How much do we have, Ty?
We have about an hour.
It's I mean that's the thing. I don't want to bore too much. So if I could ramble, but
no. The good thing about these is that they can click off anytime they get bored at, and I don't think they're going to, because based on what I've heard from you, it's nothing but interest. It's nothing but interesting, I should say.
I love it. Well, you tell me kind of, you want the backstory,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll talk to you. So my movie that I made with my oldest friend, co-writer, he edited the movie, Michael Weiss. We've been making movies. Well, I guess me and Mike have been making movies since we were probably around 16. But I've been making movies since I was probably like 11, 12. Like, we lived, in the same town, but like when you didn't have a car, you're miles away from each other. So, like, people would come over, and I have an older brother who, he's 5 years older, so he was able to get camera gear from my dad, and so he was sort of the first inspiration. It wasn't so much that I was interested in being a filmmaker as it was just something fun. I was athletic, but I wasn't like an athlete. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we would set out making movies, and somewhere around 13. Wow, I didn't even think about it. Somewhere around 13, me and my friend from Jersey came down. We made our first film. It was called Under Pressure, from the Queen song, and we played like cops. And I was like 13, he was like 12, and my brother had like these old Videonics boxes. Do you know what Videonics was?
Yeah.
So Videonics was a company and a brand that created RCA, hookups for your editing software. So it was like Videonics had a like a color board, so you can actually you put all your RCAs from your VCR, your Beta, whatever it was. It went into that box. You can color it, and then if you wanted to do sound effects, there was like another box that had like a phone keypad, and you had like a listed numbers and what they were like. 34 was punch, and it was this like digital. So the first instance of making these movies was basically like live productions. Like when I was like, you're looking at me like I'm insane, but it was like, imagine like a room with like 4 VHS all hooked up, soundboard with the punch meter, and it was all live editing. There was no like how I could just like go over to my computer over there and edit, and we would basically like run through the movie, figure out where like each number of punches in the time code was. So when it was running live, it was like at 30 minutes in, I needed a punch. At 31, so you're like, and sometimes the machines wouldn't even activate fast enough for what you needed, so the punches would be late or early or whatever it was. And that was like, and we started showing that. The point was like, we had these like little movies. By the time I was like 15, like I knew how to do this like down pat. So, made these little movies. I went to film school, and, this was, like, remedial. Like, I already known all this stuff, so when I went to film school, all my teachers were like, why are you in these classes? And I'd be like, because I don't know everything, but I certainly know more than some of these other people. And that's when like that love of filmmaking. Like I realized like my teachers were like, you should be more involved in the class than sitting back and letting everybody else talk. Like you, not that I was a teacher, obviously, but it was definitely like that spark. And before I got to college, my senior year, my friends, my English class. I don't know if you've ever seen these shorts that I made. I posted a few clips on
I've
YouTube.
seen the clips.
Yeah, so in senior year of high school, my friends all came to me because they knew I could do all this stuff. We're like, I don't want to do a book report and I don't want to speak in front of the class, but we're allowed to make a movie. So I wasn't in these English classes, so they came to me with like George Orwell's 1984, Murder in the Cathedral, Robespierre, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I'm missing one. There were 5. Maybe I mentioned all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then so we shot them, and my friend's mom worked in a hospital, so we got like hospital gear. So every movie we're all in the same outfits as sort of like a running joke because nobody wanted to get their shit dirty. And so like I just got like cliff notes, and I was basically like, all right, what happens in this scene? And then be like, oh, in in George Orwell we did it this way, in Dr. Jekyll we did it that way. Like sometimes I acted in them. Like in Frankenstein, no one could show up.
You know who that reminds me of?
What's
it reminds me of Sam Raimi. From what I've heard, whenever he was in high school and college, they would make Super 8 films, and they would do similar things. That's like...
he's definitely an inspiration of mine.
Oh, he's a brilliant filmmaker.
Yeah, for sure.
And you were growing up in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, like suburbs of Philly. Like, we're not a famous town, but the director actually of Can't Hardly Wait.
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
They wrote that based on my high school. Like I went to Huntington. We lived in Huntington Valley. My high school was Lower Moreland High School, and in the movie Can't Hardly Wait, they called it Huntington Hills High School.
Oh wow!
So like, and it was written about basically like I'm not in the movie per se, but like his mom, Harry Elfont, which I never even reached out to. Harry Elfont's mom was like my English teacher, and she's in the movie. And
oh wow!
So it's very much a representation of my life in a matter. Like there was the geeks, and there was the jocks, and the frat bros, and that was my high school. So there was always this like you can make movies coming out of this little, suburban town, and and Harry and I forget his partner. They went on to like do like Josie and the Pussycats. I think they had like a TV show. So they were, as like a 17-year-old kid, I was like, holy crap, like we can go make movies. And anyway, so I started to really take it serious, once I left my first college. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna jump into this like I can do this. So like I remember like starting to like really analyze movies. And again, I owe it to my brother. When I was like a kid, he showed me like Fellini's was it not? I think maybe 8.5.
Uh-huh.
Whoever is in Falling Down, whichever is do you know what I'm talking about? The movie Falling Down.
Yeah, Michael Douglas.
Yeah, the opening scene where he's in the car.
That's 8.5.
8.5, right? So I remember watching 8.5 before I'd seen Falling Down, and then Falling Down came out not knowing anything, but I liked Michael Douglas and like Joel the Nile and.
Yeah.
And I go in and I'm like, holy crap! Like
he took that.
I recognize that. Like
that
was like one of the first times my brain like made connections to like cinema. Like that you don't. It's not just like ripping something off because it wasn't. It's more like how does that element help my elements? And then Tarantino has become the king.
Yes, of referencing.
Of referencing things. So he takes the inspiration. And when me and Michael went into writing I Am Alone, there's a ton. I don't know if anything got cut, but like we did the same thing. Like I want to say there's about 10 John Carpenter references in our film. Like, and I've reached out to Carpenter and said like, hey, and then it turns out that like we're not the only ones who have considered Carpenter an influence, because like I've actually, when we finally had to film in like film festivals, like his people came back to me. And we're like, I'll give it to John. I don't know if he's going to have time to watch it. And I never heard back. But they were kind enough to respond.
I think that John Carpenter is the patron saint of a lot of filmmakers. He's the one, I mean...
Well, does everyone, like who Carpenter is? Like, should we talk about who...
I mean, if you don't know who John Carpenter is, Think of Escape from New York, Escape from Los Angeles.
Don't think of Escape from Los Angeles.
Or don't think of that. But
They Live.
They Live.
The
Thing is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen.
I don't know if you've like walked through my apartment. I have like three. I have like The Thing.
Oh, I
record.
saw that. Yeah.
I have like a Kurt Russell thing hanging in my The Thing is one of the big, and there's a direct reference in my movie to the opening of The Fog.
Right.
So,
The Fog.
which I like.
Geez.
A lot of people don't like, but I really like that movie.
It's. I mean, in terms of creating an atmosphere, it's great.
But Viking ghosts, I guess, in The Fog is kind of silly.
Hey,
but
there have to be. If there are ghosts of anybody, there have to be Viking ghosts. So
yeah.
I'm glad they're finally getting their due.
And I think why you call Carpenter a patron saint is because he's one of the. I mean, I would say him and George Lucas are like one of the pioneers of independent cinema, to be honest with you. Because, if you don't have THX 1138 from Lucas, you never get American Graffiti, and you never get Star Wars because he wasn't big enough to get Flash Gordon. I mean, imagine if they did give him Flash Gordon. I never have this wall of Star Wars shit
Right. Well, I mean, and a lot of people don't know this, but John Carpenter is also an Academy Award-winning filmmaker, won for best for live-action film. While he was still a student at USC, or shortly after he graduated.
But it wasn't Dark Star, was it?
I think it may have been Dark Star.
I think it was, and then Dark Star became
the big movie.
Well, yeah, they took 20 minutes, and they whatever he shot in school went into the
right. Same with George Lucas. I mean, he just kind of expanded on his thesis project and made it into his. But what always struck me what strikes me about your interest in film is that you came to film from like a storyteller's point of view. It sounds like. Am I wrong? I mean, somebody who says I have stories I can tell, and this is the perfect medium, I would like to tell it. Whereas I think I came at it as more like from I love movies so much. I hope I can find stories to tell. The technical aspect of filmmaking kind of intimidated me when I was younger. I mean, I started making short films when I was 13 years old.
That's like the era.
Yeah. But I had wanted to be a filmmaker even before I had a camera. I was 11, and I remember just watching movies like ever since I can remember. Yeah. And you were talking about the Onyx box, about how you would edit the films together. I would shoot my films on those high-8 VHS tapes, and I would have to have my camera connected to the VCR, and then I'd have to hit record on the VCR while hitting play on the camcorder.
100%.
And that's how I would edit. And
Mike has my co-producer writer. Mm-hmm. I found the picture when I was doing some collage. Mike has it at his editing at his apartment, and he has a photo. I should try to see if he'll take it of our original setup, because at one point my brother was no longer around. He went to college, so I called him and he was like, I'm not bothering with this anymore. I moved on. You figured out.
Right.
And that stubbornness from my brother and my stubbornness to not fail, I was like, that was like another aha moment. Was A goes to B goes to C. Like there's always a route you can follow. And even from a technical to a storytelling point of view, that's sort of been my thing. If I start a script, I go A to B to C. If I want to plug my computer together, it's A to B to C. It's the same thing you did with the your camera to your VCR.
Yeah, totally.
It's like just have to figure it out on your own.
And I think whenever I was 19 years old, that's whenever I was introduced to non-linear editing.
Yeah. Well, you're what, maybe 2 years younger than me?
Yeah, 81.
Oh, you're 4. Wow.
Yeah. So no, I mean,
I'm 77.
Oh, okay. That was the year Star Wars came out. So
exactly.
Good year. But when non-linear editing came out, I was like, this is so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm very thankful for that.
I had to cut in college when I was at the Art Institute of Philly. I think it was our senior. Well, there was no senior; it was by quarter. So my last quarter, we had to do a big film. Uh-huh. Like it was. I shouldn't say it was a big film. We had to shoot on film and edit on film, and with the old movie Olas.
Oh yeah.
So me and my friend we called ourselves the Bastard Filmmakers, giving a shout out to them. And it was like I don't know, it was like this revolving group. There was like a solid core of like 6 of us, and we would help each other with our projects. So one of my buddies, Christian, he lived on a farm out in like probably even central PA. It was like an hour from school even, like, and he had a farm. He's like, dude, let's go make this post-apocalyptic movie. So we all like, instead of, and the whole point of the project was to shoot, I think you have to shoot 2 reels of film. Like that was it. You just have to, and you had to edit anything that came out of that. It had to be like no less than a minute, no more than 3 minutes. And we were like, and all of us bought 2 spools. And at the time, it was probably like $40 a spool or whatever it was. I mean, we were college kids. I don't even think
It's a 16 millimeter?
Yes, this is 16 millimeter. We rented out the gear. We went out to my friend's farm and shot for an entire week. And it was like the first like big thing. We ended up shooting, I think, 17 minutes of footage. Okay. And we got it all processed and we showed it to our teacher. And he goes, "You're never going to edit this on the Moviolas in time." And we were like, "What?" He's like, go get more time in the non-linear bay. And we were like, and this was, I think it was the Avid Ones, the original media composer, where like I remember we were learning to edit on like the Iron Man videos, you know, pool, swimming, running, mountain climbing, whatever, like so we were like, what? They're like, but we have to cut on film. He's like, this is beyond like like he saw the story versus like, because I think especially, and I'm not knocking the art institutes, they're not you know what I mean, it's kind of what you get, what you put into it. And I think that the turnovers, and especially in like the late 90s, like I don't think people really understood like you can make a career. It was like, I felt like my friends weren't, but I felt like there was always students that like came and went because they were just buying time. They'd go for a quarter or some, a couple, be there half a year, and then they would just be gone, and you wouldn't, and they moved on to something else. Where like I always wanted to make movies. This was like my shortcut. So we ended up making this post-apocalyptic film called Veterans Day, which I'll post on YouTube. It's one of the next ones I'm posting. It had squibs. We had fake guns. We put like firecrackers in the ground. You can see like smoke popping.
Really good.
And it's all black and white, and we added music. So we got we watched. I think our end cut was like 7 minutes. Like it was like most people were doing like things they shot on the grounds of the school or around downtown Philly, like a chase scene down an alley. Like that was it. We actually told like a fugitive, guy who gets arrested, breaks free from the oppressors, and then at the end, like my friends could do martial arts by coincidence. So like that was the first time like they loved Bruce Lee, I think Christian loved Bruce Lee. So like we put like what's it called, baby powder. So when you would hit, you would see like we really put thought, and it was like shot over like 2 days. And by coincidence, I was going through like my notebooks, and like he had a silo at his farm, and I had schematics for like a platform camera rig where like I was like, I want to just drop a rope and get like a zip line and have like this like crazy. I was like 20. I wanted this like camera move to go like from the top of the silo, and then like would slide in there like, you're gonna break a camera. I'm like, I don't give a shit. The shot's gonna be awesome. We never did it. And when we went to do I Am Alone, I remember I had like a similar idea, and then the drones came out, and we could shoot on drones. However, our concept for I Am Alone to use drones in the manner we wanted was so early on. I want to say we were so advanced in what we wanted to do that no one was doing it. And when we got to the mountain in Colorado to shoot our film at 10,000 feet, the helicopters can't fly. The drones there's no air pressure. Yeah. Like normal helicopters have like a shelf of 8,500, and like I think Black Hawks like can go to like 12, but they need like an extra rotor, or it's like an extra there's just not enough in
specialty helicopters.
So like when we went up at 10,000 feet, we turned our drone on, it fell right to the ground. And we were down here in like Santa Monica practicing moves, and like we had like
of course, yeah.
And then we went to like 6,000 feet, and it hovered for like 5 minutes, and then it fell to the ground.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
So we had to rewrite our ending. So yeah, so the whole ending of the movie is slightly. It was definitely a different ending. Tonally, it's the same. That's why you hear helicopters in the ending of our movie. You don't see although Mike ran to the armory in Montrose, near Montrose, Colorado, in the western slope of Colorado.
Where you filmed.
Where we filmed, and he went and spoke to the general. of the Vegas and said, "Listen, we're making this film. We've got this." And the general said no, but he referred us to like a local pilot who said he would do. He didn't understand what we really wanted, I think, as much as Mike tried to convince him, but he wanted like $500 an hour.
Yeah.
And it was like, we didn't even know what we can do. We only had, it means we had to figure it out in 2 hours. We basically had 2 hours to shoot this and didn't know what we were going to, how, was it worth it? So anyway, so going from that, like, Veterans Day short with the rope rig to the drones, I mean, that's sort of the evolution of technology in a weird way. I mean, but yeah, so.
It reminds me of this story. I read that book, Easy Riders, Raging Bulls by Peter Biskind.
Yeah, I've read all of his.
Yeah, and in the story, in the book, he quotes Brian De Palma, I think, talking about Steven Spielberg, what Steven Spielberg was like in the 1970s. And Brian De Palma says, we were talking about women and drugs and everything, and here is Steven Spielberg talking to me about how he wants to rig a camera and cushion it well enough so that he can drop it off of a tall building, have the camera break, and have the film pop out so that it would still be able to be used.
I remember that.
And I'm just like, yeah, this is some people have their priorities. Some people want to use film or filmmaking in order to potentially tell a story or have a vision in their head actualized. And some people, I've learned, a lot of people, that they think it's a good way to advance socially.
Yeah.
But I just think it's the best filmmakers are the ones who are obviously dedicated to their craft, and
but the breaks don't. I mean, I'm 40. I mean, me and Mike clawed our way to get I'm Alone to the world. I mean, the decks are stacked against you.
Let's talk about I Am Alone then. So you had, actually, a little preamble. I Am Alone is not your first feature-length film.
Technically, no. It's the first released film.
Right.
So yeah, so the very first film I did, which very few people have a copy of, is called The Potchki Chronicles.
I have a copy of it.
Yeah, you do. And I think there's one floating around here on VHS. I do have the betas in my closet.
Right.
So I was fresh out of college, like 98. Late 98, so early 99. I finished college, and my first job out was for. My school put me in touch with this guy to DP a film. So I did DP a film I've never seen the completed because it turned out there was some shady shit going on with him. I won't mention his name. I'll tell you off camera.
Okay.
I mean, it's 20 years. I'm sure whatever happened. But I was a kid. I was happy to be working, but I realized, like, I learned a lot. But this is post Good Will Hunting, pre-Run Lola Run. And these two films are important, at least to me, and I think many filmmakers like us, because Matt Damon and Ben Affleck weren't much older at that time than I was. I mean, if they were 25, I was 21, maybe. Maybe they were slightly older. I mean, Matt Damon had been in stuff.
Yeah.
Like they had been in like With Honors or
School Ties.
School Ties. So they had been around, but like the fact they wrote this script, Good Will Hunting, and it was like, if they can make it, if these two schmucks, which they're not schmucks, you know what I mean? Like when you're a kid, it's like, if they can make it, shit, I can make it. So, and then Run Lola Run comes out and was shot all on the XL1, which was like the newest, digital tape camera.
I had one. I had one as well.
Yeah, I had one till like maybe 2008, 2009.
Yeah, what really impressed me is Steven Soderbergh. Right after he won the Oscar for Best Director for directing Traffic, he made a movie called Full Frontal with Julia Roberts, and he shot that on the XL1.
And didn't Figgis do it?
Mike Figgis, he's done,
Time Code with the XL1?
Yeah, he's done so many films.
And then 28 Days Later.
28 Days Later, really, I was like, wow.
Fully officiated that camera and that style to the world. So this is like me at like and I move out here. So in like late 99, I have another buddy, Eric. So me and Eric had been making movies for years also. So there's Mike, who we were doing like one kind of group of films and stuff, and there was like me and Horowitz, me and Eric, we were doing like another sort of style of film. We were always intermingling, but it was like, so like me and Eric had this character Bubba. Like when I was a film school character, like I was told early on, we need to do in film school, we need to do like a how-to project. And they would show us samples of how-to. It was like how to cook eggs, and it was basically like shit you would see on YouTube, or on Facebook, like when you see recipes. That was basically what they wanted. And I go, I'm not making this. This is garbage. I go, I've made like cool things. I know how to shoot cool things. So I convinced my buddy Eric I was like, listen, I want you to create a character with me to do this Bubba. We're gonna do how to hunt, but you're just gonna get drunk in the woods. And we got like those like little toy dolls that like those like rabbits or whatever that flip. You used to see.
Oh yeah.
So we that was what we were hunting. So it was basically like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. And so me and Eric went. We shot. It's called Hunting with Bubba. It was like 7 minutes. We showed it to the class, and everyone loved it. It was so unexpected. Like it was an actual 7-minute short film show about this like drunk guy who's giving you all the wrong instructions, stumbling around like everything. And it was a spoof of the Outdoor Life channels and stuff. And my teacher said, "This is terrible." I remember this. He goes, "This is terrible. You are spoofing an already terrible medium. So I'm giving you a C." And I was like,
wow.
What? And it was technically, I followed the assignment. I think he really and after that I was like, okay, now I have people plotting against me. Like that was like the first chip on my shoulder. This is important because I don't think he understood. The assignment was that I follow the instructions. Did he say how to do stuff? Yeah. Did it matter if it was incorrect? You're not using the egg recipe to really make eggs. Uh-huh. So why the fuck would you make? Sorry, I don't know if you can say.
Oh, you can swear however you want.
Like it's still 20 years later. I'm like, that asshole. You know what I mean? But I remember I was like, that's not going to deter me. So me and Eric ended up making 7 or 8 of those shorts. Like we did Hunting with Bubba, Exercising with Bubba. We went to the Art Institute steps and did the Rocky Run, like with no permits. Like
that's awesome.
We did security. It was all pre-YouTube. So me and Eric had built this. We've been friends. He was actually friends with my brother before me because Eric's a few years older than me. So Eric and I were like, we love the Pink Panther. So out of making these Bubbas, we said, let's do our Pink Panther. I don't know why. I mean, I was 21 thinking I was Peter Sellers, I guess. I mean, there's the Pink Panther thing over there.
Oh, I love Peter Sellers.
So we said, we come from a Jewish background. So Potchki is a Yiddish term for basically to putz around, to goof around. Our interpretation was if you're walking through a puddle and you're the guy who jumps in the puddle, and you play in the puddle, you're potchking in the puddle. That was you're not supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. So you're basically just like a putz. So we thought, what if this guy was just a clueless detective? So we did everything. We researched all the filmmaker books. We went to the Philadelphia Film Office. Put all of it on credit cards. I mean, I can thank Robert Townsend, who did Hollywood Shuffle. That was another one who was I put it all on credit cards.
And then Kevin Smith came out.
And then Kevin Smith. So these are all these, if they could do it, why the hell can't I? So I learned that one the hard way. But we casted. We went to New York City. We had a casting call in New York City. We rented a space, which I had learned from working with that other film that I DP'd. I became sort of like a producer. So I knew the rental space to rent for auditions. So that helped. I didn't have to figure out where to do auditions. So we rented. We did 3 days. We stayed in a hotel. Me and Eric 3 days, 2 nights of auditions. I think we did no open calls. It was scheduled 1 day of characters, 1 day of character, all the multiple characters, and then a day of callbacks, I believe. And I was and they would walk in and be like, "How old are you guys?" And I'd be like, "I don't know. I moved out here. It was we finished it in 2000, but I moved out here in October of 2000. I think we finished it in April of 2000. So this is 99. So I think I'm 22 maybe.
I thought you told the guy you didn't know how old you were.
Yeah. So I remember we walked in and there were references to the Marathon Man in the script. There were references, and when we went down that route, people were reading the script going, again, they were like, "How old are you guys? And why are you referencing these classic films from the 70s?" They didn't they, and that was another sort of learning experience, being either prejudged or
yeah.
You know what I mean? I had teachers telling me the work was good. It was, you know what I mean? Then I have real legitimate actors. I mean, eventually some of these guys I remember years later, I would see on TV, these weren't Like we were SAG without being SAG, I believe. I mean, I'm pretty sure we were non-union, but we didn't know. We just didn't bother with the union. So I'm pretty sure.
And you were in Philadelphia.
And we were in Philly. So we casted all these people, like 7 actors, put them up in a hotel. We paid for their stay.
Wow.
Paid for their gas to come down. And we produced that film. And you know, we did the Robert Rodriguez thing. You write to the locations you know.
What you have.
So my dad at the time had a warehouse, and it had multiple like warehouses connected, but from like 6 to 3 until 7 in the morning, it was empty. So he's like, "Fuck it, like you guys can shoot in the warehouse." Then Eric's brother had a boat, so we're like, our ending is gonna be on the boat. You know what I mean? And
right.
we took the bathtub thing that Robert Rodriguez talks about. I have a bathtub. I have this. This is what my film. So we edited. We bought the original G4 computer. You know, the Mac. Final draft. Final cut, maybe 2 or 3. Like it was an Avid. So
I remember.
I have pictures of us like non-linear cutting. We not only did the first, like for I Am Alone, we did crowdfunding, we did Kickstarter, but I don't think a lot of people, I mean maybe the few people that were there, but in 2000 we needed finishing funds, and Eric's girlfriend at the time, her dad worked at a, was part of like the VA, like the Moose Lodge.
Okay.
So they were like, why don't you guys have like a beef and beer fundraiser?
Oh wow.
So we had a fundraiser, so we gave away shirts, and you know, basically the same Kickstarter. You want shirts, you can come on set, and we partied, and you know, everyone bought drinks, and we raised we needed hard drives, I think is what we were short. We needed like $1,000 to get, at the time it was like 250 meg hard drive was like $700. You know what I mean?
Oh
like,
wow.
So like our credit cards were maxed, and we wanted the Kickstarter idea of like bringing a community together. Like, so all these people were supporting us. There's pictures of it, summer, of this like beef and beer. You know, we got up on stage, we talked, and you know, and I don't remember even what we raised. I still have a book of people signing in. The movie gets finished, and we're like, now what? Like it was like 78 minutes, and it's not good. Like, I mean, I'm gonna put a trailer online, but it's really, I see the weaknesses of storytelling. Like my ambition was greater than. I'm not saying my directing was bad when I knew what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like the scenes themselves I think are pretty good, but there was so there. You know, I learned in my 20 years since then, like the language of film. You know, like I really do. Like when we were talking about how like Spielberg saw this and this, like there is, you know, a language film. I got an argument actually this morning with my friend before you came, my buddy Dad, who we argue about movies all the time, and he argues with me. He's like, I don't know. I don't watch a movie like you. He's like, I don't know if anybody watches a film how you watch a film.
And how do you watch a film?
I don't know is the answer, to be honest with you. I feel like not just because I made a film, because our film I'm Alone is well received as it has been. You know, between reviews.
It's a very good film.
You know, Gareth, our British actor, he's won awards. Like I can still separate myself. Like I don't think I'm any better or worse that I made a film. I think the journey. You know, it's not the destination, it's the journey. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people think at the end of the road when you make a film, that's it. Like, well, yeah, I moved in this apartment 6 months ago. You know what I mean? I'm not. But okay, but the point about the languages that I mean, there's the film you write, and I'm not saying you. It's like the film the writer writes, the film that's conceived, the film that's shot,
the film that's
edited, and the film that's released. Because there's the writing changes to the conception. Because now if you're not the director and if you didn't write it and you're just directing, well then it's your interpretation. And I think people forget. Like I personally like Zack Snyder's style of filmmaking.
So do I.
I don't think his Batman movies and that saga are perfect, but they're his interpretations. They're not. It's not. You want Christopher Nolan's interpretation of The Dark Knight, then just watch those. That they are a different. You know,
right.
like most comic books, which I only read sporadically. You know, you've 25 different Batman,
of course,
stories. So this is just Zack Snyder's interpretation.
And his interpretation is very Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
And
it's probably more true to form.
Yeah, to the comic book.
To the comic book, what people don't understand. You know, even when it was a Batman versus Superman, everyone got pissed off that Batman kills people. Batman Batman kills people. He just didn't in the Warner Brothers movies. So people don't care to like research that. Batman has definitely killed people.
Especially when he first appeared in 1940, he had a gun.
Yeah, like so people have now, because of social media and what's it called? Social outcries and all this, I think the self-righteousness, to be honest with you. I mean, I'll say, everyone sort of has an agenda. And so when my friend calls me and he's like, you watch movies like no one else, it's like, because I'm able to separate myself. Like he said this to me, which actually was like one of the weirdest things I ever heard, but I understood. He goes, he always say, like, how come so-and-so never makes a movie like this? And I said, well, you're just probably not reaching out to figure out who they are. Just type in, I don't know, whoever, Ben Affleck movies, and figure, and he says, well, but I don't see things being advertised. I don't think they're good movies. And I was like, what? I literally was like, I was baffled by that comment. And to him, and I think, and
so I don't know what that means.
What it means is he sits at home. He's not interested in. He's the casual observer.
Oh, okay.
So he's not seeking out as a filmmaker, a cinephile. I mean, this is my room of creativity. I feel like.
Yeah. I can tell.
Like I try to separate every room, but this is like my writing space. And and as a filmmaker making like I Am Alone, like everything was stacked against us. People said, "Oh, it's found footage. We don't want to take it. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that," and they start boxing you. Then you don't have marketing. Like my same friend will call me and be like, "Have you seen that movie about the two girls like locked under a pool cover?" There's a movie called 12 Feet Deep about two girls who go to a swim club and get locked on a pool cover, and somehow they almost die.
Well, I guess they took the Robert Rodriguez school of filmmaking, where we have a pool, we have a pool cover.
Yeah.
Let's make a movie.
I mean, there was one. I'm not saying it was like the worst movie ever, because it's not The Room bad or anything like
right.
that. But it was like, and it was getting promoted on YouTube where he watches it. So to him, this movie was more legitimate. He would call me like, "Why is it your movie on YouTube? Why are you being advertised?" And said, "Because I don't have control over that." Now, I don't know what their budget was. I mean, it was a slightly bigger. I mean, they had like Tobin Bell in a small role and a couple other like recognizable. I mean, we had Gareth from Torchwood from the Doctor Who show, but he's big in England and in like the convention circuit, in America, but he's not really known to the average. It's like I always have to say, you watch Doctor Who, you watch Torchwood. I mean, there's a rabbit hole that you have to sort of lead people to.
Right.
But then when they see our film, it's a whole different ballgame, because then it's like, okay, we shot the film in 2013. At the height of zombies. I mean, the whole conceit of our film was that we were going to tell a different zombie movie. But no one could have told us it would have taken almost 5 years for that film to get released.
Well, I think the reason it's taken so long to get released is because it was just you and Mike and
a lot of no's.
A lot of no's.
And
you're doing it.
No's.
Yeah, and you had to wear many hats. Both of you had to wear many hats. Yeah, you still have to. And it's like the film, I always think of filmmaking as like raising a child.
100%. I agree 100%.
You have the conception, and then you have the, you put the pen to paper, and then, but then once the film is released, you have to trust that your baby is going to go out into the world and continue.
And you have no control.
You have really, no control.
And that's like what it is when a kid goes to college.
Right.
I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. And that's the thing. It's a very... for those people listening, watching, whatever, like making a film, like two things came to mind. Somebody asked me, "Is it worth it?" Like not too long ago, was all this worth it? I mean, I'm in debt. I'm not gonna lie, like in debt. I work in reality TV. I really enjoy what I do. It pays the bills. I also love making films, and I found a happy medium. And I think it was some interview came up recently. It was the same question: does it work? Was it worth it? And it's like when it works, it does. But that's a hard thing to quantify, because when we shot the film, even before we shot the film, we were mentioned in Entertainment Weekly.
I remember.
Like that was a huge deal, and to me
cool.
That's still, because we weren't even a film in consideration yet. We were a Kickstarter that somebody at EW, who's now an LA Times film critic, who's never reached out. Weirdly, I've sent them so much press material. I've sent him the links to the movies. He's never once responded beyond that Kickstarter. And you know what? I'm grateful to Josh. I will say his name. I am grateful. If nothing else, that was a huge deal for us. And we were, in 2013 mentioned, it was the height of Zach Braff getting all that negative attention. And I don't think people really understood what Kickstarter was. But the truth was, that was already our second Kickstarter. We failed our first Kickstarter. In 2012, we were trying to raise the same amount, 25 grand, lost it all. Because it's it's
all or nothing.
All or nothing. So when we went back, when we were going to come back, we had a bigger team. We had learned a lot, and they were like, "Why aren't you going to Indiegogo? Why aren't you trying to, or GoFundMe or whatever it was?" And he said, "It was hard enough to get people to sign up at Amazon. I'm not going to ask those people to sign up somewhere else." So we decided, this is it. It's all or nothing. If this fails, we're never going to do it. I'm not a masochist. Maybe now after 5 years of struggles, I think I've become a masochist. But I'll take my lumps and say, you know what, I'll move on. But we signed Gareth onto the film in the middle of the Kickstarter, so that was a huge bump. The Entertainment Weekly, you could see who was pledging, so we knew the impact was thousands of dollars from that Entertainment Weekly article. Even to this day, even now maybe it's, before the movie's festival run, even I would tell people and be like, "Why do I know that film or that name?" And I'd say, "You probably read it in Entertainment Weekly."
That's really cool.
So we had, then we started getting some screenwriting awards, and then Gareth started to get popular, and then it was like, okay, let's go make the movie. And then we did a zombie crawl in the town in Montrose. They did an art walk, but they allowed us to do a zombie art crawl. So all the shops basically dressed up for Halloween in the middle of May. And when Mike and I conceived the script, Mike and I had written another zombie film, but a straight up Seth Rogen comedy. And that wasn't meant for us to direct in theory. I mean, now I would, but that was written as a big zombie Shaun of the Dead movie, where I'm Alone is a very intimate story about a guy dying in the woods. So when we wrote it, it was always if you read one of the first versions of the script, it's a handful of zombies, a horde, very vague, very unsure of what it was. Because to us, it was 2 zombies could be just as scary as 50 zombies, done right and done the way we envisioned it. And when we showed up for the zombie walk, there were 300 people dressed as zombies.
I remember seeing the pictures.
I mean, they did. There was the dance troupe did a Thriller flash mob. There was a band at the bar that was a big after party. The bar originally said you need to buy the kegs, but then they made so much money they said, take a keg and here's your money. They actually gave us money back.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It was, so we were onto something. Not knowing the challenges, then it was okay, now I gotta go make this goddamn thing. We've Gareth trying to rehearse in England. So he would send us videos. He would go to the Welsh countryside, and he would send us iPhone footage of him climbing trees. And he's like, "Is this what you want?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, this is I was just happy that he was taking it serious. So here we are unconventionally. And then, closer we got, we had my buddy Rory, who's an actor who plays Adam in the movie, and we have Gunnar, who we had seen in a low-budget film called Love, which is one of these esoteric sci-fi films about an astronaut stuck in space. So when we went out to start casting, I had met Gareth because of another short film I made. So we have him in place in England. Gunnar we eventually meet, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm in." We didn't even know if we can sign him yet, but he loved, there was 2 leads. And then Rory, who lived in Chicago. So now we have to these are our 3 main characters. No one lives in the same town. So we did there's a picture on my Instagram of our 5-way Skype. We literally would just read the script, and that's how we would rehearse. Once a week, Gareth would take notes, or Gunnar would take notes, or, we would think of something and throw it in there, and that was it. And so, we got a plane ticket to Gareth. Once Gareth's plane tickets were booked, it was all or nothing. So now we caravanned. We hired our DP, Adrian. I met all these people. I think here's a tip, if I could segue, because this is what I think. Your vision is your vision. What I mean by that is that, like I said with Zack Snyder, everything is an interpretation. Me and Mike have a vision for the story when we wrote it, but Adrian, as the DP, has a vision and has his history going into it. The sound guy, the sound designer, eventually was our buddy Tommy. Everybody's interpreting your vision, And sometimes that vision doesn't always align, which is not a bad thing because that happens all the time on film. Sometimes it's just like, I want it this way, and sometimes it's my lack of experience, or somebody being overstressed, or whatever it is that you just have to get on the same page. Communication is key, but at the end, just because somebody disagrees with you doesn't mean they're right. You know what I mean? Like, so holding on, so like getting onto that mountain, we didn't know what our challenges were. We and so when you're up there, it's like, well, you would have even townspeople going, I don't think you should do it this way, and be like, all right, buddy, you didn't even know what Instagram was a week ago. You know what I mean? So you have to believe in to a fault. I mean, you have to be obsessive. You have to be I don't think you have to be Michael Bay in the way of being like a dictator, because I don't think I was ever a dictator on something. But you have to definitely.
You have to be in control.
But because if you're not in control,
it's chaos.
Then because then you're going to end up with things like The Room. You know what I mean? Where everybody knows, like everybody understood what we were trying to do. It's just to some degree we weren't ready, and we were understaffed. I mean, we were asking people to live in a cabin with no electricity base. We could only run generators for 4 hours a day. Like 2 hours in the morning. Maybe an hour at lunch, and maybe 5, and then a couple hours at night. But me and Mike somebody donated us, very thankful for a while, a pop-up camper. So me and Mike sacrificed our comfort to give all the cast and crew. We put Gareth and those guys up at the Wild Bunch River Ranch, this like wedding place. They didn't charge us because Suzette, her and her husband own it. She was an actress like in the 80s. So she was from like LA, so she knew what we were doing. So she's like, I love horror films. Put up your actors here for as long as you can. So we had our actors live there for like a week. Me and Mike lived in a camper, freezing our ass off. I was sleeping like 3 hours a day, no joke, because you would be shooting all day. Then Mike would be editing or looking at the footage. So we'd be looking at footage or still shooting. And then it was so cold, there's like, Mike has video of us like the camper had 2 beds, and I was like bundled up, and you just have like, it was no one thought in the middle of August, and I'm a Jew from the suburbs, like, so to be up on a mountain for at 35 degrees, we had a sleeping bag, but like I didn't bring all my winter shit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So thankfully we had sponsors like Zippo and Northside shoes, like Northside boots or shoes. They gave us 72 pairs of shoes. We couldn't pay everybody, so like, here's like $1,000 worth of swag, but like not just like a t-shirt from the Sunoco. You know what I mean? Like, it was a very thoughtful plan, which I think helped. So Kind Snacks gave us cases of food, companies gave us cases of water. So we weren't we were never running out of food, never running out of liquid. Everyone, I would run. I went through I think 5. I still have 2 pairs of boots, but I went through 3. Like, there was times I'd just be walking through the mud along the river. My shoe would go about a foot into I would just come out in my sock, and I just keep walking, and I just get on the walk and be like, bring me another pair of shoes. Like, that's how it was. Like, so there were shoes buried all over that mountain, and then we got into shooting. We lose our GoPro on day 1, the very first day of shooting.
Sorry to interrupt. Let me I just want to check
yeah.
No, I want to check the camera.
Am I good or am I rambling?
No, you're perfect, because what I want to do is I want to cut in some footage from I Am Alone. I hope you'll let me use some of it.
Yeah, I'll give you.
So let me just make sure both of these cameras.
You just pull from the trailer.
Okay.
I'll just get you a Dropbox. I'll tell Mike. Unless you want specific clips, I could ask.
That's good. And that's good. Okay, good.
And I hope I'm interesting.
You're very interesting.
How are we on time?
You're doing really well. Okay. So, what I want to know is, what inspired you to make I Am Alone?
I've thought about this long and hard. I Am Alone is a reality show at the heart of it. You know what I mean? It's just or at least the conceit of how we shot it, and being, Mike actually got me in the reality TV. Like, when I came out here, I couldn't land a job. Just the same. It was like the writer's strike and this. I didn't know anybody. So, for a while, I would shoot comedians at like the Improv. Like, that was like my job. 2 cameras, 2 XL1s. They would come over to my place. Some of them became famous, like Andy Samberg and all these guys. Like, I met them when they were just like comedians at the Improv. Like,
wow.
Like that's how long ago it was. And Mike got me into reality TV, and I stayed. And my, when I moved out here, I wanted to be first. It was like I was going to be a cinematographer. Didn't know that route. Then I wanted to be an editor because I was doing. Like, I can still edit. I don't call myself an editor, but I can edit. You know what I mean? I understand everything about editing, and I could finish a film if I had the time. You know what I mean? But somewhere around 7 years in, I was working on it. We met on Extreme, on Extreme Makeover Home Edition. I went into an edit bay. I remember whoever it was like yeah, I want to be an AE. That was my route, and I was working the graveyard shift on Extreme. So it was like 7 to 3 o'clock in the morning, pretty much by myself. I think there was other editors, but like I was just ingesting footage and logging. And I said, this is not what I came out here.
Right.
I'd already been a logger, like working on shows. I had produced some of my own shorts. I didn't know what that route. Maybe it was ego, partly probably ego. Probably more ambition than ego. I didn't think I was too good for that job. I just wanted to do more, which I think is slightly different. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't like, because I went to whoever it was and was like, is there a producer position? And there happened to be that season 5, whatever it was, 07 to 08. There was and I when I went out into the world, I realized like I'm really good at producing. Like I'm good at like I can see the shot, I can talk the shot, I can do this. So I realized like this was my route. So fast forward a few years, I'm now producing. I'm doing some field producing, doing all this other stuff. But I've been writing scripts. Like me and Mike had been, writing partners for years. Like we had a script optioned in like 2005, a horror film that was almost made. I'll say it, like in the early 2000s, Mike and I we had written a spec script for Spy Hunter, the video game, that as far as I've been told, I've never been able to verify. Schwarzenegger read it at the time before he ran for governor, really liked it, and we were like, holy shit. And then Schwarzenegger became governor, that went away, and we met, and The Rock got signed on.
Yeah,
Can I just tell you, did you ever hear The Rock story?
No.
So this is just a funny story. I just like telling it. So my buddy Rory, who's an actor in I Am Alone, has always been an actor, and he went to University of Miami, and he gets hired as like a bartender on the movie The Rundown in like one of the opening scenes, which The Rock is the lead. So Rory knew all about Spy Hunter, and it's like a year after Schwarzenegger left. Like it was just kind of forgotten. So Mike calls and goes, dude, we're gonna go to the set of The Rundown. It's his bar in Hollywood that hasn't been there in years. So he's like, clean up the script, do whatever. I'm gonna pick you up, print it out. We're going to go deliver the script to The Rock. I mean, The Rock is just a wrestler at this point. I mean, it's like, if you went to talk to Dave Bautista, 5 years ago before he had made Guardians of the Galaxy, I mean, he was nobody. So I remember me and Mike walk on set. We have 2 manila envelopes, one that says Rory Zacher and one that says Dwayne Johnson. But the Dwayne one was underneath the Rory one. So it was like, I guess security, it was after 9/11, but security was still like light. So we just like walk. We did it on enough sets to know that if you belong, you belong. So we just like walk right off the set. Like literally is like one of the most brazen things. We're like, all right. Just Mike's like, Mike. I remember we cross the street. He's like, don't stop unless someone stops us. And I was like, okay. So we walk, and I remember there's like these steps to go into the bar, and this girl probably our age with like headphones and the old wired walkie comes up and goes, what are you guys doing here? And because she saw the envelopes. And I don't know if that was part of the plan or a happy accident, but it looked like we were delivering a package. You know what I mean? It didn't look like we were just like geeking out and we're like, oh, we're here to deliver something to Rory Zacher. And she's like, who? And we're like, oh, he's one of the actors. I think he told us to meet him at the bar. She gets on walkie. Oh yeah, follow me. So she walks us. Like we see The Rock. I think Schwarzenegger was filming that day. Like we walk right up to the bar, like literally right up, and Rory has his big smile. He's like, all right, let's go. And he had, in the time we were told to come down, he'd already talked to The Rock about us, about Spy Hunter, about their time at University of Miami together. Like, I don't know if they met when they were at university, but they had that shared, experience of college because they're roughly the same. We're all roughly the same age. I mean, The Rock's like 42 maybe. And we're like, so Rory was probably a freshman when Dwayne was a senior or something. I don't know. So anyway. So we walk up, And Rory comes up, and they weren't shooting. There were cameras were going everywhere. And Dwayne was this is the only time I ever met him. He comes up, he shakes our hands. He's like, "Guys, Rory told us so much about this script. Yeah, I just signed on. I don't know too much about it. I'm really excited to read it." So we're like, "Oh my god!" He's like, "I'll take a read. I'll let you know." Like, cool. It was like a 5-10 minute meeting. Mike loves University of Miami too, so so they're all talking to University of Miami. Rock's just like a lead in a movie. The rundown hadn't become like sort of a big thing yet, because it did. It kind of became like a fun movie to see. Anyway, so we leave. Rory continues shooting. Rory's in the movie for like half a frame, but that's besides the point. Like he just his part. As the bartender. It wasn't a speaking role, which sucked because we were really excited for him. So we don't hear anything for like a couple weeks, I want to say. And I remember Mike was sitting. We were roommates at the time, and Mike gets a call, I guess from the Rock's agent. Excuse me. And it was like, "Guys, Dwayne read the script." This is what the story. I mean, it's been like 14, 15 years. The Rock absolutely. You've never heard this story?
No.
The Rock absolutely adores the script. And what we had done, the real story about how that script came about was Mike and I were playing the PlayStation 2 video game.
Yeah. I remember Spy Hunter.
It was like the rebrand of the game, and it was really a cool game for the PlayStation 2. I mean, it was the most advanced game system at the time. So we were writing. So about a year earlier, maybe a few months. Yeah, about a year earlier, Mike and I were writing the script on spec, and we had about 65 pages written. When the story broke in entertainment, in a Hollywood Reporter, so-and-so company buys Spy Hunter, no script, no directors, nobody's attached. So Mike calls me, and at the time, Mike was working in a production company, new agents. He's like, "The agent said, if you can get the script to me by tomorrow morning, I will get it to this company. I will read it first, but by tomorrow afternoon, if I like it, I'm going to submit your script." We're like, okay. So this is like, I had a friend who was working in town that was visiting. I couldn't see her. Like, she was like, "Can we meet?" I said, "No, I got to finish the script. I got to deliver by tomorrow morning." So Mike was at work. So I'm writing from like 10 o'clock in the morning. We had it outlined. So I'm writing from like 10 o'clock in the morning to like 7 o'clock at night. Like, I'm just writing, as I'm finishing pages, I'm emailing it to him. But I'm trying to finish this. So the Mike comes home at like 7 or whatever. He takes over from like 7 to like midnight, 1 a.m. He's writing, like, I'm sitting right next to him writing like the next 20 to 30, 40, whatever pages. Then we kind of had to have this like big ending, and we called our buddy Dave, who lived not far. He wasn't married yet, and he's a sound designer for some of the biggest video games, for Call of Duty and all that stuff. And
wow.
So we call him up at like midnight, and we're in our early 20s. This is like, we're like 24, 25. We're like, "Listen, we can deliver the script. We want you to come. We need your help." So Dave shows up with like beers. This is like such a Hollywood story. Shows up with like beers at like midnight. And he's like, "All right, guys, what do you need from me?" And the ending we wrote was, which I think was stolen. I'm gonna go on record as saying it. So the end of our script was this big, Spy Hunter. This big moment was it was a Beethoven score, and the notes at the end would equal a bomb.
Okay.
And so that was we had seen tons. I mean, at this point, our movies collections combined was like 5,000 movies. So we'd never seen this string, this like build up to the end of this movie. Like, it was like, like when this, like, the big orchestra, the big villains playing, and everyone's gonna die. And do you know what movie this was used in?
Was it a Bugs Bunny cartoon?
I mean, it could have been, but it wasn't inspired. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No. Okay. So Dave helps us because he's a sound designer. So Dave explains us music notes, and like we're literally getting like a crash course in like music instruments, what would play where. I mean, we're literally like typing and writing at the same time. Like I would basically get information while Mike's writing, and I would it was like almost like a cookie cutter chain delivering this big ending action spectacular. We finish it. So Dave goes home somewhere around 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Mike's got to be in work at like 9. So from like 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., Mike does a read through of the script while I nap, so he can make corrections. Then from like 7 to like 8:30, 9 o'clock, I then go through the script, make any correction changes, anything, and we deliver. We get it to like 114 pages. Like, we don't know if it's tight. we're working almost 24 hours straight at this point. Delivered the script to the agent. Long story, the agent, Mike calls and goes, dude, the agent loved it. Because he doesn't even like action films, and he thought the script was amazing. So he's going to submit it for us. So it got submitted, and then it was and we never heard. That's why the Rock story then comes to play. Like, if the agent liked it, he submitted it. We were young kids. We weren't expecting like $1 million buyout. It was like, if you like our template, just buy the script. Like, just give us SAG minimum or a Writers Guild minimum, and we'll, you know what I mean? We don't even have to. We didn't even want. Credit would have been great, but so anyway. Long story short, I don't remember what stops that in line. Oh no, that's not true. I think it got submitted, and I remember I was working at helping my dad at a trade show. Mike calls and goes, Schwarzenegger read the script, and he really likes it. That's what it was. And then Schwarzenegger left, and the project was dead. I believe that, in my recollection, is what happened. So months later, The Rock gets signed. We go meet The Rock. Now The Rock loves the script. We're like, holy shit. Like, we're, maybe 20. This is like 02? So I'm maybe 24, 25. Like, we're like, oh my God, we could. This might actually. We might be Matt David. We're super excited. We're we don't know. Then like a week later, then the butt comes. Then a week later, Mike gets a call from the agent again, right? But this time, it's not congenial. I don't think I've ever heard an agent yell at anybody more than he yelled at Weiss. And Mike was just like, huh? Basically what happened was, so Schwarzenegger, so the company liked the script. This is kind of the bits and pieces we gather. Schwarzenegger liked the script. But when Schwarzenegger died, they like put it into I won't say a rewrite, but I think they just shelved it. Like, I don't think they were actively. Then The Rock gets on board, and supposedly they were hiring new writers from like the first Fast and the Furious or something. Like, maybe it was so. The agent goes, "What the fuck have you guys been doing?" And we're like, "What are you talking about? We just want somebody to read our script." He goes, "The Rock was never supposed. The Rock. So apparently, The Rock didn't know you're not supposed to read unsolicited scripts." The agent thought it was solicited because it was like, yeah, these guys like the agent didn't, I guess, know The Rock was getting the script. So when The Rock got it, he just assumed like the studio sent it to him. Like the company had sent it, not two idiots at a bar gave him the script. So when The Rock read it, he loved it, not knowing he wasn't supposed to read it. The agent then went ahead to the company and said, hey, so The Rock really loves the script. And they were like, what script? And so then the agent called and goes, you guys, like, and it was just like, and I think it was more shit rolls downhill. Like, it wasn't really our fault. Like, we didn't know sort of the ins and outs. And I shit you not, within maybe, I wouldn't even say a day of that phone call. At the time, I want to say we had a fax. I don't know if I have it here. We got a cease and desist letter. It's like, I have it laminated. Like, it's like
a cease and desist letter.
Oh shit! I wish I had.
No. But they were trying to stop you from what?
So
you wrote the script,
right? But it says you don't own the script. You don't have the property. Stop. It basically said stop undermining. Oh. You're not the writers. Stop undermining what we're trying to build here. Is basically. I wish I had. It's probably my closet. It was basically saying we're aware of you guys, but you got to stop. Like, we were moving the script probably faster and like moving it ahead than they weren't ready. And look, it's 2018. There's never been a Spy Hunter. John Woo was attached at one point. Ruben Fleischer, who did what's it called? Dodgeball Gangsterland or Gangster Squad. Like,
okay,
like some fairly big. I think somebody else just got attached to it. Like, all these people have had their hands in Spy Hunter, and to this day, and there's been, I still, like, in my brain, anytime I read anything Spy Hunter, I 100% read it. Because to us, it's like, why didn't they just take that script? Like, what was, like, we weren't, like, it wasn't the first time, like, a spec script came under, you know what I mean? Like, just buy it from us.
Well, what it sounds like is that they had more interest in you not making it. You, personally.
Well, we weren't trying to make it. We just wanted them to make buy our script.
So, what I'm kind of fuzzy is the agent who sent you the cease and desist.
No, the agent did. The company.
The company that owns Spy Hunter.
Yes.
Sent you the cease and desist because they were trying to get it made some other way.
They wanted to do it their way. We didn't represent the film.
So basically, it's their way or no way.
Right, and it's never been made.
So they would rather not make it.
Then just like at what point do they? So now I'll be honest with you. I'm saying this today. At some point, I'm going to reach out to that company and say, hey, we like like I've made I'm Alone. It's on Hulu. We've won awards. Are you guys interested in circling back to Spy Hunter? But now I want to direct it.
Well, yeah,
you know
I
what
can
I mean?
understand
After
that.
15 years of like just false starts, like all these young, like the guy who did Cop Car. Did you ever see Cop Car?
No.
With Kevin Bacon? It's cool. He did Spider-Man. Like he did a $5 million movie and then made Spider-Man. You know what I mean? The Homecoming.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like so that was like our Hollywood moment, and then the rest for the last 15. You know what I mean? Had been just grinding it out. Like we were there. You know what I mean? Like I literally to this day at 24 felt like. There was no, social movements. There was nothing. It was just, I don't know what was it from their part. Look, they might have not liked the script, to be honest with you. Like, it could have just been that simple. But if I'm getting a call, like, I don't know how it would benefit me telling me that Schwarzenegger read our script and liked it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just like, great, cool. Like, he liked it. That doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't help the movie. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, there's no reason for for people not to tell me that.
Right. I mean,
do you know what I'm saying? Like, so somewhere down the line, it was like, what I believe happened was these guys at this company bought the property, didn't fully know what the property was. They probably bought multiple video games or, because they had done, I forget even the company that had it. I don't even know if they're still around. But I think they bought it and they were just trying to develop. They were just trying to figure out what it was that they had. What was the story? What was, who was the character? What was the car? What was all this stuff? And we came with them and they said, whoa, now it's our version. And they're buying, you know what I mean? Like they're buying, where they could have just like ripped the guts out of ours. I would have taken a story by credit. You know what I mean? And that's it. Like that shit happens all the time. So that was that was heartbreaking. But then a couple years later, we found a much smaller company that optioned our script. We actually got paid. We started, the horror films started to take over. Like mid 2000s, it was always low budget films. Horror films are the way to go, and that's still maintained. January, February, and Halloween, horror movies do so well. Like, and I love horror films. I mean, I didn't realize how much I liked them in my early 2000s. I was still like writing comedies. I think to write horror, to write dark,
you have to be an adult, or not an adult, but
you have to be in a dark place. You have to experience things, and at that point, I was just like a happy-go-lucky kid. So like, writing goofy comedies was easy. Now I have a hard time even thinking about a comedy where everything I write, I'm not saying is moody. It has a message of some kind. It's not, I think that's what is happening in Hollywood too right now. Is there's just not a lot of comedies because I don't, I think what I read is a lot of comedy writers go to TV and it's easy to write, but like what was the last like true comedy film?
I can't think of one within the last year.
Right, that's like The House with Amy Poehler, and you know what? It wasn't that funny, but if it was done 5 years ago, it probably would be a huge hit. It's like, comedies will probably come back. It's just, but yeah, so Spy Hunter never happened. Then we wrote this, Mike and I wrote this horror film called The Pumpkin Patch, which was a Halloween-based script, and that was sort of our first true foray into like how scripts like go from conception. It never got made. Dealing with this company, and they were small. They had produced a couple like Sundance films, I think.
Right.
Like, so they understood the whole like horror aspect of take a low budget film, but I don't think they fully understood horror. I don't think they were misguided. I don't think they were bad people. I don't think any of that stuff. I think they liked the script and they also didn't know what to do with it because we had to go in the rewrites. That was the first time we had to deal with rewrites and explain things, and then they were like, we don't like it, but they owned it. Mm-hmm. So it was like, and then you look at it was like contract stuff. Well, if you don't like it, you clause whatever, you can guys bolt.
What I love about I Am Alone is that the camera. I mean, it's a very creative found footage film.
Style, it's found footage style.
Yeah, but what I love about it is that the camera has the camera becomes a character and it has a justification for being in each and every scene.
Yeah.
What made you think to go that route?
Well, that was budgetary. So when Mike and I, so to wrap up all these preambles and rambles was, when I remember I came home and I told Mike, I came back from work. I was watching Survivor Man. I'll be honest with you, like Survivor Man, Man vs. Wild. I just like those shows. I wasn't trying to mimic those. I wasn't trying to do any of that stuff. I came home, and Mike was like, I don't know, it was working. I said, dude, we could make a movie for like 10 grand. And he's like, what? How? I said, we tell one story about one man surviving the zombie apocalypse on a mountain. And he's like, what? And I said, yeah. And he's a reality show host, so the cameras are the story. And he goes, well, we both said, but we both were like, well, what about like the found footage? I said, well, we don't love found footage, but we love this story. Like found footage done right. Like no matter what people say, distributors, agents, whatever, found footage done right can work.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so much that doesn't, it saturates everything. So he said, well, that's actually a really interesting idea. So we started noodling around this idea. And the original story, the original script was called Never Say Die. That was what the original title was. And that's what Gareth says on the mountain. One of his scenes as he's exiting frame, he's like, never say die. That was us sort of tying it all together. So the original idea was a much more grittier show in our minds. Like Never Say Die was like truly harrowing experiences, but we realized budgetarily we couldn't fake a plane crash. You know what I mean? Like it was supposed to be like a much more like severe situations versus like losing your compass on a mountain. You know what I mean? So as we started writing the script, we said, well, if the cameras are a story, the biggest gripes are that why would the batteries survive through the whole course of the movie? That's always been like, and if you read anything, it's like the cameras are always like, why would they keep shooting? Well, we gave a purpose to why the cameras keep shooting, and I don't think we outsmarted ourselves, but I think no matter what, people are going to find fault. And I'll be honest with you, I read every review. I love reading reviews because it's either they get it, they don't get it, or I miss something. Like there is something I can learn. There is something I can learn from a bad review. And sometimes the bad reviews, like I've read some reviews where they get the characters' names wrong, which means they didn't do the research, so they lose all credibility. You know what I mean? So that's a learning curve. Okay, you gave a great review, but you actually didn't pay attention to the movie, so I don't give a shit about your review. So we had this idea of, and the GoPros were becoming popular. So the ideas were the cameras, when Jacob, our character, starts out, there's cameras everywhere. And as the story progresses, or devolves, story progresses and he devolves as a person bit, but not fully becoming a zombie yet, the cameras, he wouldn't continue to shoot. You know what I mean? So like at the end, like there's no spoiler, there's no it's all shot on GoPros because that's what would happen if he's been on 5 years of adventures in his mind, which is my reality TV producing experience. You're going to get the shot. He doesn't know what is happening in the world. So if we put this character on a mountain and he's cut off from society, he's not going to think the zombies are, it's not that the word zombies doesn't exist. It's just, it's too early for people to, you know what I mean? Like our story never even, gets to fully explaining what's happening. And that's not a spoiler. That's the point of the movie is why is he not infected? Why are the cameras there? And so the cameras are the story. So when we did this, I did so much research with Mike about like the style of how we're going to do it. And that's why I said, I don't know if we outsmarted ourselves, but Paranormal Activity now at this point was really popular in 07, 08. So by 2011 when we started writing, Paranormal Activity 2, I believe, came out. And I really liked, I haven't seen it in years, but Paranormal Activity had a very specific style it used with its CCT cameras.
Yeah.
They did all this research and found out, much like the Dogma 95 movement, there is a thing called the Fixed Camera Manifesto. And the Fixed Camera I did not know this existed, but the Fixed Camera Manifesto, which actually a lot of movies use, I haven't looked up what more recently, is locked off camera. You can edit, but locked off cameras that don't move for 3 minutes. So it's a structure of a film, and I think so. Some of the negative feedback that I Am Alone have gotten, and we've gotten some, is that the excitement of the Colorado mountain is so, and Gareth and Gunnar are running around, and there's all this stuff, and then we cut, and there's this like more heartbreaking story inside, much like we're talking. I mean, it's literally, this is the setup in the confessional, is the cameras don't move. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a challenge for the actors, because now, like, when you're in the theater or if you're on movies, you want to be animated. You want to, you know what I mean? You want to be throwing shit around the room. But that's not what this situation is. So that was sort of a challenge for us creatively, was like, this is a morbid situation. So these cameras, like, they're not like there by mistake. And then we rigged 3 GoPros. Like Mike, like, we didn't even know how hard it was going to be to edit. You know what I mean? Mike, we used 4 GoPros, two cameras in the room, no time code on the GoPros, so no assistant editors. So Mike had to work his ass off for like 2 months, because we didn't get real jobs. We weren't self-supported by the film, and probably never will be, but he had to sync all the audio, all the cameras. Then we started to go through and had to start going for performances. Some, Marshall, who did a good job, would get up in some takes. Sometimes, because we had our vision, we let the actor interpret their vision, and so you have all these different things. So I don't think people truly, I think people really enjoy the movie, but I don't think they truly like I think there's such a dichotomy in the style of shooting. By design, it's not a mistake. It wasn't an oversight. It wasn't like anything more than like, that was the style we wanted in the room, and it doesn't align with some people. You know what I mean? Because Gareth and Gunnar are so animated. Now you're in this like bunker, and that whole conceit that we built in this bunker in Sherman Oaks, like 10 minutes from here, in a porn studio. Well, there was no porn going on when we were there, but we gutted it, and our production designers, Best and Chasen, and Nancy, they all put their works, and we built walls, and we didn't have, the walls weren't high enough, so we had to get like visual effects to finish. Well, your buddy helped us, I remember. Yeah. We had to, there was so much work went into it to make it look that way, and some people, and then the reviews came, and some people like, oh, it looks like this or it looks like that. Mm-hmm. But that's just their interpretation of what they think that room would look like. So the cameras were a story, and then I don't know. Then you always get the net. Then there's always like almost once a review somebody will mention like, we have a scene inside a barn with cameras with CCTV, and we've got a few reviews where they're like, why are there cameras in the barn?
People are assholes.
No, I don't think they're assholes.
Some people can nitpick at.
But
stuff.
I think they, I think that's why I'm saying, I think this might be on me. Like, I might have. It's like, to me, there's $7,000 to $10,000 worth of ATVs. Why wouldn't there be? But you know what I mean. But on the surface, people, and that's I think, as a filmmaker, you got that thick skin. I don't think there's anything. Only thing I would have wanted on I'm Alone is more time and more money. Gunnar, our co-lead, who plays Mason. He came to us Mason said, Mason and Gareth, or Mason and Jacob are our 2 leads. Mm-hmm. So Gunnar plays Mason. Gunnar said, guys, even if you had another $100,000, I don't know what would have changed. You know what I mean? Like, people would have just gotten paid more or paid it all, but like, that's not, you know what I mean? Like, money wouldn't have necessarily changed the theme or the style of the movie. We might have had maybe a couple extra days to shoot. You know what I mean? Like, that might have been the saving grace, and and maybe we would have had extra GoPros like on day 1 when we lost it down the river. Mike had to go drive the Sports Authority to go buy a brand. Like, we went out there with GoPro Hero 2 cameras. Wow. With 20 batteries, 20 cases, everything.
Did it have the app that you could actually see what you were looking at?
But when you hit record, it went dark. So Gareth, there's behind the scenes footage we showed. That's one of our behind the scenes. So Gareth, rehearsed on the kayak, camera goes down. The water was lower or whatever. He couldn't control the kayak. He's seasoned. It was just a fluke. The GoPro 2 goes into the drink. And we lose a GoPro, and we lose a rented walkie-talkie. So in one shot, on our first shot, we lose about $800.
And what's the total budget?
Well, we're out of pocket, but $25,000 maybe. You know what I mean? But like, we've already spent.
That's a considerable chunk.
Yeah. So here we are. So, Gareth feels terrible, and we're like, dude, it's not your fault. So Mike has to leave set, not edit, drive the Sports Authority to buy the only GoPro they had, which was a GoPro Hero 3. So now so there's some shots early on that are a Hero 2 and a Hero 3. This is what, a Hero 5?
Mm-hmm.
So now we don't have enough batteries for this. We have, now we only have one battery, and then we're going into like night vision mode. So here's a quick thing, So Adrian we bought lenses for night vision on a GoPro, but for some reason, like in the last minute, we're tired, whatever. None of us can get the lenses and the GoPro on the Hero 2, the other one, to work night vision. So now we're about 4 hours away from shooting. I have to go drive to the city, which is now going down this mountain so it's like an hour each way. By the time I do everything, to go buy another Hero 3 camera. So all we had 20. We now have 4 batteries, like to shoot. And then so now we're like on Amazon ordering. It's not going to be there for 2 to 3 days at this point. So like we're going into night shooting. I mean, these are the challenges of low budget filmmaking, and it was it was stressful across the board. I mean, it wasn't easy on Adrian. It wasn't easy on the actors because it's like they'd be acting to hear the chirps. You know what I mean? And then that, you only have up to that moment. Nothing else will work from that lens. So your rhythms go off. I'm directing in some of the scenes from inside the middle of the scenes because I don't have eyes. So like in the barn, there's like a big wood plank. I'm literally like this, just listening to their performance. I'm basing my directing off of their, then we'd go back, Mike would have it ready a couple hours later, we'd look, but we already moved on. And then sometimes I'm in scene, like big crowd scenes, you will see me in scenes, either sometimes shooting as like a townsperson, or just like I'm one of the soldiers at the end, like just so I can see what's going on and talk to them. I mean, like it was not, I mean, if people knew how hard that part was, I'm not asking them for sympathy. I'm just saying, oh, I get, you know what I mean? It's more like, oh, I get it. They can still not like the film or,
One thing that I think people really, whenever I said some of the critics can be assholes, is that it's very easy to criticize anything.
100%.
It's infinitely more difficult to actually put yourself out there, put yourself on the line, and make a film.
You are so exposed.
Yeah.
From your Kickstarter, I mean, the thing about another lesson I learned, and is you have to be shameless. You're begging people for money. You're begging people to sacrifice their time. I mean, people were knew what was at stake, and people were trying to quit from my direct crew 2 days before the film.
Oh God.
You know what I mean? It's like, dude, we're literally leaving on Thursday, and it's Tuesday night. Like, you know what I mean? But I got it. Like, I was mad. I have a right to be mad. I mean, they stayed. You know what I mean? But I get it. We all, we're all sacrificing something, and if an opportunity comes, but there's also, you got to, if you stay true to your word or prepare it. Like, hey, I'm leaving, but I got, that's different. That's what you get if you don't have an extra $100,000.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Are you happy with the child you've raised?
I am very happy with my film. Did it have challenges? Did I have a lot more hair when I did it? Did I have a lot less anxiety? Sure. I mean, I came out here to make a film. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what, now I feel like I'm in another chapter because I kind of set out what I wanted to do. It wasn't easy. It didn't, did it get as much exposure as I think it deserved? No. But that's like my buddy. That's because Warner Bros. We're really happy with our North American distributors. We're on Hulu now, which is huge. Hulu has 50 million viewers.
Yeah, some children are late bloomers. I mean, this film, I've seen it, I love it. Yeah. And it definitely could be a gradual progression into something much bigger than it currently is.
I think that's what will happen. I think, I'm always trying to be active on social media. I put it on Facebook boards. People need to find it. When you're a small, some people go, oh, I loved Gareth from Torchwood. I'm totally going to watch this. Or somebody, I put a trailer up and they're like, oh, I don't like this style. I'm not going to watch it. Okay, then, but why they have to even respond is because of social, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't have to say, I don't like this style. They just felt compelled.
Yeah, people seem to think that because there's a blank spot where they can write, they have to.
Yeah, like you could have said, oh, I'm really, but that's the thing. You can't put people in, like I know what other people, go through. Like I have helped in the almost 4.5 years since we shot the movie. So, but basically 5 years, because January of 2013 was when like our team first started to meet. You know, so I'll help out. I've helped you on commercials. I remember I helped my buddy did a web series. I was like a key grip. I was just running rigs and lights, and they were like, "You directed a film. Like, why are you doing this?" And I said, "Because I know what's at stake.
Yeah.
Like, I care about what your project is, because whether it does anything or not, I know me being a key grip won't advance my career, but you know what? Like, you're investing your heart and soul, and I don't think enough people, either have the time or the wherewithal to be like."
Well, I think that if you're a good person, making a film will give you a greater sense of empathy for other filmmakers.
I think so, but it's not a blanket. I mean, I think
no, it's not a blanket, but I do think that God, I've helped out on so many films because I know what you're talking about. It's very difficult to make a film. It's incredibly difficult to wear all of the hats. And Stanley Kubrick said while he was accepting the D.W. Griffith Award a year before he died, he goes, sometimes directing a film can be like trying to write War and Peace in a bumper car.
That is 100% accurate.
And yeah, it is.
Because it's just there's not logic to almost every aspect.
No.
Why the first Kickstarter doesn't work? Why your cast comes together on this thing? Why this distributor? I mean, when we were trying to get the film out into the world, like to film festivals, like we had like distributors just like say they just like scrub. They sent us a link and they're like, "Oh, it looks like found footage. We're done. We don't want it."
That's
that
harsh.
Was it. And you have to take those lumps. And I know, but that's the thing. They're the problem that I think film schools, or maybe learning about film, that they don't teach you, and probably the most valuable lesson is there's art and commerce.
Yes.
And I think anybody, especially now, you can watch YouTube videos and make your own film. You don't need to go to film school.
You're right. And I went to Art Center, which is where Zack Snyder and Michael Bay went. Yeah. Those are two of the most commercial filmmakers out there.
Stylized.
Yeah. And I've heard people while I was there saying, well, that's not art. Hold on, I beg to differ.
Yeah,
Michael Bay and Zack Snyder's films.
It's not the art you like.
And just because it's popular, you get a lot of people think that, then it's not good. Because popular is not good.
Because everybody now is a contrarian.
Because people don't like to share. And if it's popular, everybody has a piece of it, and they like to have their own personal film that they can just hold on to. This is mine. I'm the only one who likes it.
Like The Dark Knight. Like why everyone likes it.
Why wasn't it nominated for Best Picture? It was certainly one of,
and
if
it
not
changed the Oscars, but that doesn't mean it was
right.
I probably put on the opening to The Dark Knight.
It's brilliant. It's a short.
Once a month. I'll just watch the first 20 minutes, pretty much up to once the bank robbery is over. I'm like, because I love the movie, but and that is a Stanley Kubrick opening.
Absolutely, The Killing.
The Killing, right? Exactly. Which is what That Mask.
I noticed that. Yeah,
is part of one of my other scripts that I'm writing. It has nothing to do. That was just I just like it because it's freaky.
What I love about you, ever since you've finished the film, you have a greater sense. This is just my observation. It's a greater sense of confidence, unshakable confidence. You do, you do.
Maybe when I present,
You're like a hardened war veteran who I can just see you looking at someone saying, the shit that you can throw at me is nowhere near the kind of shit I've been hit with.
There's definitely truth to that, and that's the thing. I definitely don't know everything. I think, definitely there's challenges. What people don't teach you is how complicated it is to release a film. Again, you're exposed. Now, we submitted our film to a fairly prestigious horror festival in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. Okay? I don't want to name it. I like them. We thought we were going to get in, right? I got a personal letter, whoever the email came to. It wasn't, I don't know, it was regardless. The email came, said we had a really tough time not programming your film, which most film festivals don't do. Okay? They said, we liked it so much, here's all access to the thing, and that we were probably literally us and this other movie, which I won't say what it was, I learned what it was. It's not on Hulu, it's not on anything. You know what I mean? That's that pill you have to swallow is, you did something, but there's so many things, and there's so many people. I mean, Mike and I were flying to the Toronto Film Festival, and we met on our flight a film programmer. And I'm not gonna say who, what, him, her, whatever. And we were chatting. We told her, shit, you can't edit that out. It doesn't matter.
It's a her.
Yeah, it's a her. We were our film, and we were just there because at that point we had lawyers. Because before we had gotten to any film festivals, we already had companies, some decent sized, recognizable, at least I recognize companies that were like, hey, this is pretty good. You know, what do you guys want for this film or whatever? So the lawyers got involved. But we'd already booked a Toronto trip, so we couldn't. So we just had a couple meetings. But the lawyers pretty much we're now packaging agents, which means they will take their slate of films and say, I got this film, and that film. So we are no longer responsible, once we hired the lawyers, to find our own distributors. I mean, if we did, we could give them to them. But our trip basically became, we paid $5,000 to go see 10 movies. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have to go at that point, but we already bought. But the point was, we're on the flight, and this programmer, who's from a fairly recognizable film festival, was kind of dialing it in, watching like somebody's movie. Like it was literally like she was like on her phone, watching it on a plane. You know, it did look like a boring movie. Like it did look like a period piece, but still, that's the hardness. Like you don't know, you know, what the programmers are going through. I'm not saying she might have just had an off day. She might have been the most legitimate programmer ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She may have actually been doing, you know, able to do her job
Yeah,
competently
like,
while on her phone.
I'm just saying, but from a filmmaker, like if I was a programmer, I would say 100% I would do exactly what she did. Like, because you're watching hundreds of movies a day, probably not hundreds, but you know, you probably have to watch 3 to 5 movies a day, and you can't give them all the attention, which is the same problem with the critics when they misinterpret a what's it called? When they misinterpret a name. I mean, even, you know, when we finished I'm Alone, this takes me back even further. This is when I knew this is sort of a rigged game.
Yeah.
And I hate saying it that way. You just have to. We submitted the script. Mike and I said, you know, we really like the script, but let's get an we couldn't be objective anymore, like in 2011. So we sent it out for script analysis. Okay, one came back. I don't remember the number. I could be making. One gave us like an 8 out of 10, you know, and one gave us like a 6 out of 10. And of course, like we kind of focused on the 6 out of 10. What was so wrong with the script? And if I remember correctly, we started reading it. And one of her notes, so there's a scene in our movie where Jacob, our character Jacob, is already really sick. I mean, he's dying. He doesn't, you know, and he's standing there and he's freaking out, and his brain is literally like becoming mush.
Yeah.
And we've this is not a thing. We've established his mental impairedness up to this point. He was forgetting names, forgetting things. And the note from this reviewer was, I think there's a mistake on this page. Who are these characters? He was just saying his brain, like she didn't, it was another she, I think. Like, you know, it was a random, you know, reviewer, but like she literally didn't either take the time to understand what was happening in the scene, or maybe we didn't write it well enough. But to be honest with you, I'm fairly certain if you see a guy yelling for a page and then he's screaming for his friends who he's been naming by name the whole time, that's not a mistake on page 70. That means you just didn't give a shit either about the script or about the people, and that's fine. You might not like zombie movies, or you might not like, you know, on paper it doesn't read like a found footage film. It's probably more abstract, which is why our company's called Abstract Forces, because there's so many abstract things and so much that goes into it. But so that was like an early point. I remember Mike took that a little bit harder. I'll be honest with you, like Mike was like, see man, like we have to like polish this, and I was like, they got it wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is already a wrong review. This is already this thing has been discredited for me.
I remember one time I made a short film, and I was screening it in class to the other classmates, and one of them asked a question: why is he wearing a something sweatshirt? And I said, yeah, I remember because I know what it's like to get incredibly defensive when somebody's criticizing your work, and I remember saying, yeah, okay, whatever, dude. Anybody else have a criticism? Because I remember saying it's like that is so pointless. Why even ask what kind of a sweatshirt? The focus of this is not his sweatshirt. Right. It's this, and if you can't see that, I hate to be rude, but who cares what you think?
Yeah. Well, you know, and it's funny. I don't know if this is the same thing, but I remember when me and Eric were making the Potchki Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so much subtleness that goes into a movie. And our actor, Nathan, who I'm still friends with, he lives in New York, so I can't see him, but, you know, we still joke around. So Nathan, we needed to go pick up wardrobe from it. Something changed in the shooting, so we went to, like, Walmart or whatever and bought Caldor. I don't know if you had Caldor out here, but it was like a Woolworth. You have Woolworth out here?
We used to.
Yeah, so this was like, 16, 17 years, 18 years ago. So we go into the shopping center, and me and Eric are holding 2 different colored green socks. I shit you not, it was like hunter green and like forest green. Like the shades were so negligible, and we were arguing, like in a fun way, what's a funnier green? You know what I mean? Like that's the thought, and Nathan goes, dude, they're both fucking green socks. Like only you guys would think, but like we were translating. Yeah. There's a translation of all that into, so that shirt, that was a translation of what you wanted in that character. Those green socks,
it matters.
Although irrelevant maybe to the casual observer, to the creators, and Nathan's gone on and he does all this like cool stuff, and he was like Kilgrave in like a short Daredevil film before they made the Jessica Jones. So I love Nathan, but it was just funny. He was like, dude, nobody cares about the green socks. And like we'll still joke like once in a while, like, dude, you get the green socks? But to us, it mattered. Like, it pieced it all together. And that's what I think people forget about a film. I'm not saying every film critic wants to be a filmmaker. I think there's some critics who love just watching movies and know, they don't have the resources or understand how to do it. I mean, we were getting reviews for I Am Alone. We were asking people for reviews. And you know what? Sometimes, even if we, I did find, like, if I submitted, sometimes they were probably a little bit more favorable towards us because they didn't want to insult us, but sometimes they were even more honest, and I was fine with it. They wouldn't send me the link, you know what I mean? I would have to find it on my own, but I was fine with it. I mean, that's your honest opinion of what you think of my film. That doesn't mean it's a bad movie. Doesn't mean it's a bad review. I mean, I don't think we've ever gotten, there was one review we got where somebody just did not get it. Like literally, and my brain went to that reviewer on the plane. They were not paying. Our film is a slow zombie film. It's a slower burn. It's an onion. It's the start. It's pre-apocalypse.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like by the end of the movie, it's apocalypse. Uh-huh. There's no post. This is not Mad Max. This is not like this is where the world is going.
It's
not
ending,
where it ends.
And that's the scariest in my opinion.
And I love zombies. So when me and Mike set out, it was this intimate story of this person, and then it evolved. It got slightly bigger. We stumbled on this town in Colorado from my friend Chasen, who, was like, oh my, we wrote the script. I was looking at a place in Oregon. I was talking with the Oregon film office, and they were sending me links, and I was playing softball here in LA, and they were like, my buddy was like, what are you writing? And we're like, oh, me and Mike wrote the zombie thing. We need this cabin. And he literally was like, oh, I just went to my uncle's place in Colorado like a couple months ago. He had 10 pictures on his phone, literally just like 10 random photos. I looked at him, and I nearly dropped my beer. And he goes, what's wrong? I go, I have never seen this place. I don't even know where this is on a map, but that is what I see in my head. That is what I wrote. It was like maybe that's how all barns are built. Maybe that's how all mountains are built. I don't know, but there was Kismet?
Yeah, Kismet.
There was something, the forces at play were allowing us to converge. Now we went, and like it was summer of 2012, me, Mike, and Chasen drove out. We spent the weekend with his mom in the cabin. Like it was like a loft. There was enough, so we like lived at this place. Like we knew we could make this film. I mean, it was 5,000 acres, no location fees, no, you know what I mean? Like,
wow.
Like we had in a town, we went with the town officials, and they were like, the biggest thing that had ever shot in the town up to that point was the original True Grit was shot like maybe 10 minutes or something. And it was when we pulled up to this town, I love this town of Montrose. Met some of the most amazing people I still talk to. I love talking to them. They're always like, when are we making another film? And I said, but
that's really cool.
Like they embraced us, we embraced them. But you think, like, oh, it's gonna be like a one light town, and we pull up and it's Walmarts and everything.
No,
and, we just didn't know what to expect. And then they opened our doors, and they allowed us to, the older people in the town, when we did our big, we had like guys on ATVs and guns and like closing streets. they literally would, like, I remember some guy didn't know I was the director, some old guy, maybe like 90. We were like, standing on the side of the street. He pulls up because he, the road like dead end and he had to go around. Like all he had to do was literally go like one street up and over and make a left. Like it didn't take him like an hour out of his way. It was literally like a quick detour. And he's like, when are you guys done? I'm like, we're hoping to be done by sunset. He's like, well, you should have been done earlier. And then we would put barriers up and people would drive through the barriers. Like there were cones with ropes and they were like, oh, we didn't see it. I'm like, you didn't see the sign? No, you didn't care.
No.
Like, so we were under like, and then, it was like this crazy, but the town embraces some of the town and some of the, you take the good with the bad. You know what I mean? Like, you're not always going to be well loved. You're never, so when you say I'm hardened, it's, you experience at this level. I mean, there's some directors who are fortunate to go to USC, or Chapman or NYU, and they get to be a commercial director and they never, ever experience this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they don't know what it's like to, to run out of water on a mountain or, have no internet. And like, Mike had a solar panel, like solar chargers. He figured out a way that we can have like solar chargers. So like, we had donations of that. So we gave everybody a solar charger so they can have power to their phone all the time.
I mean, so it sounds like you planned this as about as well as could be expected, but then life and the world will just it'll dictate the circumstances. But the more money you have, you can also counter the circumstances. But you really did a trial by fire, and I think that quite honestly, it's one of the most impressive things.
It's a bend, don't break.
Yeah. And
because we were on a mountain, we weren't forcing people to stay there. It was like, people were getting after a couple days realized how hard it was. We're like, listen, we understand. If you want to go home, if the shuttle's available, we rented a pass van from LA. It got dented, so we had to come back. We had to pay like $2,000 on that.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? So we were like, and that's the thing. I don't know. There's like you said, like if you know what other feel like I've been making movies since I was 11. I think, and there is truly a difference between making a film and making a reality show. I mean, I've experienced both at their primal levels. I mean, they both require content, but on a reality show, it's not that you have more time. It's you're not, it's just different. On a film, you have a structure, a script, or whatever. On a reality show, it's like, try to get the scene. You're not working with actors 98% of the time. So, you're just going to get what you're going to get, where like you need a performance from somebody and you need, a lot different sort of structure. And it was interesting. And I'm really grateful for everybody and their sacrifice they made. I mean, I remember I asked you to come out and you couldn't.
No, I mean, I would have loved to, but I mean, geez, like, I'm married.
No, you don't have to justify it. Yeah. I'm saying like we got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we were in. We had like 10 people, like hundreds. Everybody's like, yeah, this is great in principle. And then it's like, oh right, you have to make a movie. Like, it's
not hanging out. It's not hanging out with friends. It's actually
there's call sheets and there's responsibilities and there's and. I read your thing where like you loved it and then you were like, I thought about it a few days later and I didn't like it as much. I've only saw it once, but I don't,
It wasn't that I disliked it. It's that I think that it didn't seem like there was a cohesive structure to all three movies. Like they don't have a plan. It seems like they're making it up as they go along.
But that doesn't. But if you watch like my buddy Carbone, who loves Star Wars probably more than me, and definitely probably more than me, he despised the movie, and I think there's a major problem with nostalgia. Like I think people look at like again, it's like The Dark Knight. Like those three are iconic, but Return of the Jedi after the first half hour, it sucks shit. I was bored.
It slows down.
I love The Last Hope. It's iconic, but it's kind of fucking boring.
Yeah, that's why everybody points to Empire as like the
and that was the most what's the word I'm looking for? Not derivative, divisive of those first three. Like people loved and hated, and it was the lowest. It made the least amount of money of any Star Wars movie is Empire. So So like the thought of like this as our empire, like no one cares. Obviously, I mean the prequels all made more money, but they were boring as fuck. Like and I do like Revenge of the Sith actually.
Yeah, that one's actually very...
I actually like they got rid of all the
Jar Jar.
Yeah, well, not just Jar Jar, the political stuff. I mean, Lucas was so heavy in Phantom Menace of like the talking and the politics of the world. Anyway, so when I went into this, well, here's the thing.
Let me. Let's back up. Let me back. So what I wanted to know is
none of the Star Wars will air. Right?
None of the Star Wars stuff will air. So go ahead.
No, we'll do it after.
Okay, cool. So what I wanted to know is, what would you do differently, assuming you had the same budget and the same script? Would you film closer to Civilization, or was the location worth going out there and doing everything you did?
No one's ever asked me that, actually. Wow, you stumped me. What would I do differently? I know this sounds terrible. I'd probably yell more.
You think that you were afraid to yell?
100%.
Because you don't want people to hate you.
Correct. I don't think I wouldn't be disliked. I think I would have. I think when you're limiting pay, and you're asking people to sacrifice time, you don't have that. I don't think you have that right to still be a taskmaster. I think there has to be a more collaborative effort. However, when you're on that mountain and people aren't doing their job, you have a right to put them in their place because you are relying on them. So you have to find, a weird happy medium. And sometimes you never get there. Sometimes there's too many variables. We were understaffed. You know what I mean? So what would I have done differently was, I think, I would have tried to have at least two more pre-pro meetings before the movie, because like me and Mike were like doing wardrobe, we were driving props, picking up the van. We had another partner at the time who was no longer involved in the film, for one reason or another. So as much as you ask people to sacrifice and to, no one experiences it until we got there. Like I remember we drove up the mountain, we caravaned. It was like 6 carloads of people drove from here to Colorado. And we paid for everybody. We went, and it was raining, so we were told we might not be able to drive up this mountain because none of us had 4-wheel drive vehicles because we don't need them out here. But by the time we got there at like midnight, the roads were muddy, but we were still able to traverse. And we drove up this mountain. I don't remember who said it, but we walked into the cabin. The generators just clicked on, and they were like, "We're living in a cabin." Like it only dawned on them. We gave them pictures. I brought like a TV. I brought my popcorn machine. Like I try to bring as much sort of creature comforts.
Right.
And I remember Mike saying, "Dude, you don't need to bring your TV, your popcorn. No one cares." And the truth is, the popcorn wasn't used. The TV wasn't used. He was right, but it doesn't mean I was wrong. Right. You know what I mean? Like in the end, we were just too busy, too tired. We didn't know about the generator. I mean, the generators would break almost every day. Because it was, it wasn't meant to be. It's a hunting cabin, so it's like these guys, have dinner and they probably sit by the campfire and make breakfast in the morning. They're not meant to be running 24 hours a day. So what I would try to do is I would try to explain people if I would, we came back, I would have moved money around. You know what I mean? Like, because we still probably had, because in the end we still had to pay for things, but like I think I would have rather dealt with the paying of things after. You know what I mean? Like, we were already allotting for money like a month later. It was like we didn't have to pay our insurance till like September or something. You know what I mean? Like, and so we held that money back, but we really needed it. I think that's how I remember. But I think there was more to that. But like, you don't ever know how much resources you have. I mean, no one thankfully got hurt. I mean, I think
that's a massive.
I mean, I got.
Blessing.
I think the last day of shooting, I got altitude sickness. Rory, our lead actor, or one of our co-leads, he got altitude sickness on arrival. It was like the very first day, and my last day, or our last day of shooting, Gareth, we didn't have time to shoot the scene earlier, and Gareth wanted us to do this scene that's like our trailer. It's him talking to the camera when he's not a zombie. So it was the last thing shot. was the first thing people saw. So it was interesting that that's how it happened. Like he lost all this weight and did all that, but he looks healthy, not like a zombie. But that was actually the last thing he shot. And we went up to about almost 11,000 feet, and then we had to go down to 6,000 feet for the big Mad Max scene, which required Adrian to use every generator, every light, every little thing we had. He took him like 10. We had like 3 of us. I helped him, but it was him. It was like 10 hours to light that. I mean, because it didn't get dark till like 8:30 at night, and we had
Adrian's with your DP.
Yeah, Adrian was my DP. So hell of a job under very difficult circumstances. But you know what? We're one of the few movies at our budget. That's even on Hulu. I mean, I don't take Hulu as a concession to Netflix.
Not at all.
You know what I mean? I don't take it as an Amazon Prime. Like, it's Hulu. It exists as the film, as an audience deserves. You know what I mean? You're able to log in, go home. If most people have Netflix, they have Hulu, and if they don't, they will. You go in, oh shit, there's Palmer and Weiss's movie. You know what I mean? Like,
the one thing I've learned from watching you go through this experience is that making a film is a marathon, not a sprint. And
it's a marathon on top of marathon. You know Eddie Izzard is, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Like he ran like 27 marathons in like 30 days. That's probably more like what it's like. It's like it's not just running a marathon. It's like running consecutive marathons because you're constantly trying. The lesson to learn is you feel like outsmart everybody. Like Gunnar, who I got to know become a really good friend of mine, but Gunnar was always like, dude, Palmer, like, you're like this marketing guy. You like figured it out. It's like, no, it's like you have to look at things differently. It's not A to B to C. It's like it's a chess match. That's what making a movie is. If the Kickstarter, you have to be shameless, going through that process. You're never more vulnerable. You're asking people, like to donate money to your cause, even $5. And you would think a lot of people would want to give you $5. The truth is they want to give you less than $5. They want to give you nothing. And that's either their own hubris of like, why am I going to help these idiots reach their goal? Or I'm just not interested. I mean, I've had people reject me during my Kickstarter. So I'm not, like, literally I had somebody go, I'm going through something right now. I'm going through a divorce. I can't give you $5. And I'm not exaggerating. A week later, hey, do you have a job? Can you get me a job? They had the balls to fucking ask me for a job. Maybe you could have worked in my movie. You know what I mean? I know there was no money up front, but like you can't pick. So that's where this hardness came from. My friends sort of joke there's like producer Rob, and then a lot of people don't like producer Rob because like I have a job to do. I have whether it's working with dogs on the dog show I worked on last year,
right,
or working with this movie. It's like we can joke and laugh, but it's a level of respect. It's a level of directness, and you, like I said, 2 hours ago, you have to stick to your vision. People will tell you wrong. It doesn't mean they're right. You know what I mean? Like, and you're gonna have challenges from your actors. You're gonna have challenges from your DP or your audio guy or your visual effects people. It can't be done. Can it be done? We got in. The visual effects was a challenge. Mike was editing his ass off, and there was things he couldn't do. And then, we realized, we had a couple people who promised us to do a lot of stuff, and they realized how intricate it was, and we weren't paying them. So we realized, I'll just finish because I'm on that one. It was my stroke of genius. I'm gonna take credit for it. Like, ask one person for one thing is a favor. Ask 2 people for something. Ask one person for 2 things. That's a job. And what we realized is, we just started asking people so we knew we had no deadline, so we would just ask one person, and then a couple months later, we knew that what they were able to do. We just asked them to do it 2 months, and they would do it. So it didn't feel like a job for them. Whether they knew it, and I'm not saying we manipulated them or we did anything. It was we just knew if somebody was able to jump in and do that. So I had one guy do this, I had your buddy do that. It took 8 people to finish a lot of that. I mean, there's still tons of errors in the movie. There are trees that blatantly disappear, but it's so quick from shot to shot, you just never know. Or we added trees, or we added, there's tons of, things. And, so I think when people look at the film, when we were going through the film festivals and stuff, some people see the forest through the trees. I don't know if it's a pun or just a coincidence of like making a movie in the woods, but or they just you're seeing it face value. It looks like a low budget, micro budget film, and we don't want it. And some people saw it, and some distributors saw it. Our distributor came on, said we really like it. They managed to get us a Hulu deal, and we're gonna release on DVD. You'll be able to buy it on Walmart.com and Amazon.com, but you're all ready to like buy streaming on Amazon Instant Video. But it's a process. Like, would I've liked the DVDs to come out a couple months ago? Sure, but like it's 2018. You know what I mean? Or 17 when it came out. You just watch it instantly. There's no, you know what I mean? I want a copy for my shelf, but that's just my personal preference. So I don't know, man. It's a marathon on top of a marathon, and if you believe in it, I mean, you will face. This will be my last thought. You will face. I still face it every day. You still face uncertainty. Is the money worth it? I don't talk to everybody that I worked on the movie with anymore. I wish I did. I think there were personal issues. That happen. That happens all the time on projects. You're in a close environment with a lot of stuff going on. And I'm grateful for everybody who worked on it. That's the one thing you have to, as a filmmaker, whether you're paying them or you're not paying them, you have to appreciate what people are doing. And if you're paying them, you can appreciate them a little less. Just kidding. So I appreciate you letting me ramble for 2 hours.
No, man, I appreciate you being here.
I love telling these stories. I've way more I can go through, but I think I've given you and your audience enough.
Always a pleasure, buddy.
Always, buddy.
Thank you.